Welcome to another episode of 1,000 Words. I'm super excited to have Lake Pickle with today. And Lake is a friend of mine that I've gotten to know here in the last few years through the outdoors industry. And a lot of you would probably recognize Lake as a guy that is in front of and behind the camera with the Primos crew, The Truth About Hunting. But Lake does a lot of the content for the Primos crew. He's got a podcast that's wildly successful, and like I said, a guy that I've been able to be in the field with here for the last couple of years, doing some fun stuff. So thanks for getting on today, Lake. Man,
thanks for having me on. I'm excited to do this.
I knew Lake was also a storyteller and a guy that like most of us in the outdoors, we could sit around and kind of spin yarns and tell stories of all kinds of great stuff. And in addition to that, Lake's a super talented photographer and videographer, and makes for just the perfect combination for this project and what we've got going. So Lake grew up in Mississippi, and if you can't tell from that Southern accent, that's where he calls home. But he chases deer and turkeys and ducks and elk and all kinds of stuff with the camera and without the camera. And a few weeks ago, Lake and I had a chance to chase pheasants down in Kansas, which was really an awesome time too. So again, really appreciate you being on. And he's also got a dog who's become quite famous on the social media. His dog Knox is just a beautiful dog, and one that I selfishly was very grateful I got to take pictures of while we were down in Kansas.
Man, look, well, for one, like, thank you. You said a lot more nice things about me than most of the people. Like, I'm this time of year, I'm around our crew most of the time, like Brad and Will and Jimmy and Troy and Jordan, and you've said more nice things about me in the past 2 minutes than they've said all season. So this is nice. I like it.
Well, I'm just going through the list you gave me, and I didn't know if there was anything else here that I was supposed to say, but that should be, we should be good to go. No, I think this is super fun, and it's obviously unscripted, and I just love the organic nature of being able to sit around and tell stories and talk and laugh with good guys like you. So the couple of the pictures that you brought along, I'm super excited to hear the story behind them. You've obviously been a lot of places and seen a lot of amazing things. And I know that turkey hunting is a one of your life's passions and something you've done your whole life. This first picture that we're going to pull up here on the screen, without you saying a word about it, it's got a story that a viewer could just look at and only imagine what the story is. But why don't you tell us a little bit about what we're looking at here?
Yeah. So when you initially came to me about this project, this 1,000 Words, this was the first picture to come to my mind. I was like, well, I've got to talk about this one. If we're going to talk about a photograph that means a lot to you and just has just so much loaded meaning behind one snapshot, it's got to be that one. And just to kind of delve into that a little bit, like you said, I grew up in central Mississippi. I grew up in a hunting family, so to speak. But it's funny, I got first intrigued by turkey hunting through Primos videos, Primos VHS tapes.
Like most of us.
Yeah. And I just remember, because I'd never done it before, I watched this video, and just the whole concept of, I was like, wait a second, the thing that I'm hunting, I'm able to communicate with it, because you're watching these videos, the calling and everything, and it just seems so, just enticing to me. I was like, I've got to try this. And so fast forward a little bit to that picture. So obviously, as you could guess, it's a father and a son. And the father is a man named Keith Polk. And Keith, it is hard to articulate what all that man means to me. The only person in my life that's been more of a mentor or father figure than Keith is my actual father. I was very blessed in that respect, because I have a great father as well. But me and Keith's relationship started over turkey hunting. We went to the same church, and I think when we first met and made the initial connection with wanting to go turkey hunting, I think I was 11. And when we finally got a chance to go together, I was 12. And Keith got me on my first turkey. And I still, one of those, you know, we, as hunters, you hear a lot of folks say this, like, man, they'll say, I can remember that hunt like it was yesterday, or I can close my eyes and picture it all over again. And it was the same thing. I remember, just a little 12-year-old, I remember seeing that turkey come strutting down that ridge and shooting it, and just so much happiness and celebration. And so, and it goes on so much from there. So me and Keith obviously were very close after that. We continued to turkey hunt together. We would deer hunt together. And as I've talked about several times, I grew up, you know, especially after the turkey hunting thing. Killing the turkey kind of sent me into a spiral. It took me, you know, I was already a hunter, so to speak, but it took it to another level. It took it to where it was all I wanted to do. It's what I love to do. It's what I woke up and went to sleep thinking about. And that's when I really started thinking, you know, I want to be in the hunting industry. I want to work for Primos. Those guys are my heroes. You know, that's who I watch. It's what I did. And Keith was one of the few. I think him and my parents and my brother were like probably some of the only people that never said, you know, how about let's focus on a career goal that's more realistic, you know? And Keith was like, man, you should try it. He always motivated me in that respect. And one of the first hunting industry job I got was a video internship with a show called Midwest Whitetail. The reason I found out about that internship is because Keith called me and said, hey, have you heard about this internship? You should apply. You know what I mean? Like, he was very integral in the whole process. So that picture was at my second spring at Primos. And I ended up getting to video Keith's oldest son shoot his first turkey ever. And as one of those things that I couldn't script this if I wanted to, but he shot that turkey 12 years to the day from when I shot my first one with Keith.
No kidding.
And, you know, me and Keith are both grown men at this point, but I'm not going to sit there and tell you that we didn't shed any tears. I was bawling, man. I was crying. That turkey was flopping. Little Caleb was out there running to him, trying to get to the turkey. And Keith runs out there to him. I'm running out there with the camera. Keith spins around and look at me, and his eyes are all watery. Then I start crying. I mean, it was just one of those things. But it was the way, like, I can describe that photo is just kind of everything coming full circle. That it means the world to me, you know.
Yeah. I mean, besides that, I mean, you can look at the story behind it, and I mean, the crazy irony of it being 12 years to the day and all of those types of things. But, you know, I'm just looking at it again here. I mean, it's also a testament to you as a photographer, videographer, because it's a beautiful photo. I mean, it's not just like, hey, I happened to quick grab this picture of him and, you know, it's with the turkey and whatnot. I mean, it's a beautiful photo. I mean, it's framed well, it's super sharp. You've got kind of the backlight thing going on, and the way those two things came together, that it's a beautiful photo, but it's also the moment was super real, which, you know, for you and for Keith and for his son was kind of the culmination of all those things. To be able to capture it was probably pretty special.
Yeah, man, no doubt. And it's one of those things that it's kind of happened by, I guess, just over time working with Primos. Is I learned how much value there is in taking the time to really make an effort to capture those moments. And like I said, when I had worked when I came to work for Primos, I had some video experience, but I had little to no photography experience at all. That was all learned since I was out. And then honestly, our mutual friend, Ben Bredigan, is the one who taught me most of what I know now. But like I said, it's nowadays, there's very few times where you'll catch me without the ability to snap a picture or something like that happens, because, you know, had that happened with Keith and his son, this day and age, you can snap a picture with a cell phone, sure. But man, when you can take a picture like that, it seems to cement it so much better, I think, to me anyways. And yeah, I'm, from someone like you that's an accomplished photographer, and I think obviously better at it than I am, it means a lot that you like the picture.
Yeah. And I think that's the part that you and I both, we've been lucky to be in places and situations where we understand kind of the gravity of the moment and being able to on the fly, capture something, whether that's hitting record at the right time, shooting video or pressing the shutter button. We've both been blessed to be in the right place at the right time a lot that has, made us look good, but ultimately has allowed someone like Keith and his son to have a moment that they can hang on to, or, sometimes it's for a client or for a video or for a production that you're doing. And, you kind of just do the aw shucks, we're just in the right place at the right time. And we've both been pretty lucky that way. So
Yeah.
I picked a photo that I'm going to pull up here that is a very similar type story. And I think spins off of exactly what you're talking about. And this is me and my son Cameron after somewhere in the middle of our first year of his turkey hunting. And we had come out of the woods, in that after a good turkey nap and come out of the woods, and we were going to take a little break, and the fog was kind of lifting through the valley, and we were just getting ready to kind of sit and chill. And I mean, it was just, the light was perfect, and he was just super excited to be out turkey hunting. And I think the big 30,000-foot view of a picture like this, besides good light and the fog and all of those things, was just the fact that it was me being able to share that time with my son now when he turned 12, much like what you're saying, and being able to share time in the turkey woods and to see his passion for the things that I'm passionate about start to blossom. But this was one of those, it was a pretty organic moment, even though it was taken with a the self timer and stuff. But again, just super grateful that I've got my family now is kind of turning into the the generational thing that in the hunting industry we need that too. It's just like the numbers are dwindling, and for you to be able to see Keith and his 12-year-old son kind of passing the torch, and I that's ultimately turning into the goals for me now is like I could care less if I shoot a turkey or kill a deer or whatever. It's like if I can be out and experience that with my own kids is really, really important.
Yeah, man, and it's kind of like the same thing, drawing similarities between the two. It's the coming full circle thing, looking at that and looking at that picture. There's so many things that I can draw from it just at a glance. Obviously, like you said, with the light and the fog, it's just one of those pictures you don't, even if you toss a glance at it, you're like, oh, that's, it just kind of captures you. But then the other thing that I like is with it being, you can look at that picture immediately, even if I didn't know you. You could look at y'all too and be like, that's a father and son.
Right,
for sure. And it's just another coming full circle. You're a hunter, you're an outdoorsman, and now you're able to enjoy that with your son. And it's one of those things that just, like you said, it draws us to it,
Yeah. And I think even in the big picture of kind of what we do, so much of the work that you and I both, share in this industry is the passing on of tradition and the telling of stories. And, we both have that desire to see that happen in families and over generations. And it has happened before us. And there's kind of a responsibility amongst us now as outdoorsmen to find somebody to pass that on to. And whether it's your own kids or it's a kid from church, much like Keith was for you, even though you grew up in a hunting family, to be able to share that with somebody else. Those are really important messages that, one, need to happen for real in the field, but two, with what we do, if we can in a way tell those stories and shed that light on that so that the non-hunting world or even the potential hunting world can see that there's something really special about what we do.
Yeah, no doubt, man. It really is. There's so many stories to be told, and I said, and shoot, I'm not trying to turn a phrase, but it goes back to, like, you look at that picture and you literally, just that one picture, you could talk forever. You could probably say 1,000 words, and it's just, I love the similarity between the two and what it means to us both.
Yeah. Well, let's move into the second picture that you brought along to share. I know you mentioned Ben Bredigan, our mutual friend that worked with you at Primos for a number of years, now works for Onyx. and just a guy that we both love to spend time with, and is a super talented photographer himself. And this is a photo that, again, without telling any story, the minute you sent it to me, the elk part of it, I started to, my heart started to pitter patter, because I just love chasing elk and love looking at big elk. But to see the story that's unfolding right there, you've got a giant elk that looks like it's, bull elk that's bugling at the hunter and caller or photographer or whoever it is. But there's obviously three of you, and I'm just dying to know what this is about and what's happening here.
Yeah. So like it's another one of those things, man. Like you said, you wanted some photos that had just that I could go into a deeper meaning about and tell a story about. And I was like, when I found this one, I was looking at a bunch, I was like, this one, I got to talk about this one. So I'll tell you, before I talk about anything else, I'll just go into straight, what's happening in this picture. So we were in the mountains in New Mexico, and I was filming. You can see me in that picture there. I'm the one with the tan backpack on, kind of hunched over behind the camera. And that's Will standing in front of me with his bow. And then Ben, who we were talking about, he was back there, and he snapped that picture. And Will did end up shooting that bull. And it was one of those, any hunt that you're on that you end up shooting a bull is a good hunt, right? Like that one, they're obviously so, but that one was, golly, I think I've heard it referred to as a lot of things, but probably one of my favorite terms is a magic circle. And it's one of these deals. Even I've gotten the undeserved opportunity to be able to elk hunt a lot since I started going with Primos. We'll go, leave, and pretty much hunt the entire month. But even so, getting to go as much as I have, what we saw that day, it's you see it unfold, and you realize, all right, this is not the kind of thing that you get to witness as an elk hunter all the time. So what we were able to get pushed into a herd, and they were going, I'm talking like just peak elk rut stage, bulls bugling everywhere, cows running everywhere, bulls chasing cows, bulls chasing off other bulls, trying to fight each other. And we were just trying to push in close enough to where you could get in close enough to get a bull to react to your calling. Because when they get so bunched up like that, when there's that much craziness going on, if you get kind of the common calling distance away, so to speak, your calling just kind of blends in with all the other noise. So you kind of have to push in closer than you normally would to get a bull to respond, because he's got so much other stuff going on. And that's what we did. We just kept the wind in our face and kept pushing closer, and ended up getting that one to respond out of the whole group. And I picked that photo for one, because it was such a cool hunt, but also talking about, things that just mean a lot to me. There's been, I'd have to go back and count. I don't know how many times I've gotten to hunt with Will, elk hunt with Will now, or how many elk I've been able to be there when he shot it or film when he shot it. But like I was speaking about earlier, the Primos videos is what I grew up watching, and those people were just absolutely heroes to me, truly heroes. Okay. And I can honestly say, and I'm very thankful for it, Will and I are very close now. He's someone that I definitely look forward to. He's been a mentor. He's been a teacher. It's just so many things, but still to this day, no matter if I get to film Wilbur hunt or hunt with Wilbur 1,000 more times, there will never be an instance where, if I'm doing something like that, if I'm sneaking with him with the camera, there at some point the thought's going to rush through my head of going, this is Will Primos, and there's going to be that little 12, 13-year-old boy still inside my head going, oh my gosh, who would have ever, the phrase I think of, I remember there's a guy named Bubba Watson. He's a golfer. He won the Masters a few years ago. Yep. And they were putting the green jacket on him, and they were interviewing him. They were asking him, they were like, how, what did you ever envision this? And I remember the phrase he used. He said, I never made it this far in my dreams. So when I was dreaming about working for Primos, I was thinking about turkeys, and I was just thinking about that life, but and wanting that so bad, but getting to experience the magic. Truly, I'm not embellishing. You've seen it out west. You know how special that country is, how special of an animal an elk is. When you get to just immerse yourself in that and get to experience what is being out west and experience the elk rut, and then you get to do that with someone like Will Primos and all the other guys, it's one of the, like, that's how I feel. It's like I never made it this far in my dreams. I didn't know what to think about it the first time I did it, and it's something that I cherish very, very dearly.
Talk just a bit about maybe about Will and the Primos family and I mean, obviously we know the business part of what they do, and they're legendary with the videos, and they're super recognizable. And so much of the hunting industry, and especially the hunting television industry nowadays, has become fabricated. And obviously this team that you're a part of has just become woven into the fabric of who you are. And I mean, you're as authentic as they come, and just upstanding, and a guy that just one of the true good guys in the outdoors industry, let alone in the world. And I say that just in the handful of times that we've spent time together in the field, you just know that there's just a real genuine sense. But Primos and your job and your role there, you were grateful to get your foot in the door, but it just seems like it's a place that this would never be a stepping stone to get to something else. That just seems like one of the most genuine type careers, like you said, that you could have gotten yourself into.
My aspirations for the hunting industry don't go past Primos. That's really where I wanted to be. And that's all I've ever wanted to be. I'm not, that brand meant so much to me growing up. Will and Brad and all those guys, they had so much to do with my mindset and my attitude towards hunting, because I watched them so much. And I'm sure that's true for a lot of hunters out there today. Getting to spend actual time with those guys, and seeing that truly, and I never thought otherwise. Like, it was kind of exactly what I thought it was going to be. I was like, when I spend time with those guys, they're going to be exactly what they are on those videos. And that's what, there's no fabrication there. Like you said, there is a lot of fabrication these days, but I think that's why Primos was and is as successful as it is, because there's not really any smoke and mirrors. It's just, authenticity. And that's what drew me to it. And that's what keeps me here,
The photos are obviously beautiful. The videos that you guys produce are legendary. And like you said, for you to be a part of that, you and I both grew up watching those videos, and I can remember popping those VHS tapes in and kind of chuckling a little bit, thinking, to hear the Southern drawl, which was not very Minnesotan. When you come up here in the Northland, we don't talk like that. But we grew up with those, and now it's super exciting for you to be the guy that's pushing the buttons and making that happen. And tell me a little bit about the podcast that you guys have started now, and maybe some of the projects that you've got moving forward, and just kind of what does the future of Primos look like?
Sure. The podcast has been so much fun. Like, it's been so much fun. We started it, we've been doing it a little over 3 years now. And I can thank, at the time, we talked about Ben Bredigan earlier. I can thank him a whole lot for that podcast as well, because Ben was my, he was a friend, he always has been, but he was my boss when we were at Primos. And I had gotten really into podcasts 3 years ago, and I was driving to work, and it just hit me. I was like, Primos should do a podcast. And Ben had always given me, while he was my boss, he kind of always, was an encourager, so to speak, And I got to the office, I walked into Ben's office, I said, hey, Primos should do a podcast. And he just looked up from his computer and he said, yeah, we should. Are you going to host it? I said, yeah. He said, all right, go pick up the equipment you need and take off. And that's how it started, just like that. And like I said, it's been going over 3.5 years now. And kind of my whole mindset behind it was, Primos stopped doing DVDs, which when we first stopped that, it upset a lot of people, because the actual Primos cassette tapes or I'm sorry, VHS tapes or DVDs were so legendary as a part of Primos for a while. But as we all know, DVDs were just quickly becoming a thing of the past. But one thing that we were going to lose there that I didn't want to say goodbye to was, Primos was legendary for those porch scenes, that would go cut to a video and it would be Wilbur and somebody else sitting on the porch talking about the hunts. And we didn't have those in the TV show either. And I was like, man, those porch scenes were part of one of my favorite things when I was growing up watching them, because you felt like you kind of got to know the person, or you found so much this behind the scenes information about the hunts that you couldn't fit into the video. And I was like, the podcast can kind of, fill that void. And that was kind of the initial thought. It's like, we can go into these hunts that we go on, and we can take all the details that you cannot fit into a 22-minute TV episode, and we can break that down. And we still do that now. Of course, I mean, the podcast has morphed and evolved, so to speak. And we don't just do that. We do a lot of other fun things with it. But yeah, that's how it started, and rolling strong over 3 years, and it's been an absolute blast. I love doing it. I enjoy doing that as much as I do the TV show. We've got the podcast, we've got the television show, and then we've started updating our YouTube channel a whole lot more, which is another one of those things. A couple years ago, it was merging away from DVDs and going more towards TV and digital stuff. And now it's like, we're not really getting away from anything, but we're just putting more emphasis on YouTube, because YouTube is such a big entity now. And honestly, like I said, I welcome it, because so the YouTube stuff is fun. It's all that real-time stuff. It just kind of opens up a lot more avenues. So it's exciting times for sure.
I just so appreciate you taking some time to come on and kind of tell the story about a couple of photos that, that really mean something to you. But I think the thing that, as I think about my takeaway from this, is like, those are two photos that just like tell the Lake Pickle story of like where you were and where you're going, and just kind of everything in between. That they mean something to you, but I think in the big picture of hunting and the industry and kind of chasing your dreams, I think those two photos tell that story just in a real beautiful way. So I appreciate you sharing those.
Yeah. Thank you, man. And like that, I said, that is my story, man. I'll never claim to be the world's most talented hunter. I'm just a guy that loves to go a whole lot. And one of the things I constantly, I get, guys, most of them are about the age I was when I started chasing it hard. They're guys in like their late teens or their early 20s wanting to get in the hunting industry. And they always, they ask me what I'm doing, and I'll tell them straight up. I'm like, man, if you're going to go for it, go for it. I can't, after what happened to me, I can't discourage anybody from not, because that's all I ever, the kid chasing his dreams. And Lord willing, I ended up to make it, somehow or another. And it's been great.
Yeah. Well, it's great to catch up a little bit. And obviously with the things that we do, I can't wait till the next time we get a chance to chase some critters or just spend some time sitting on the front porch with cameras and talking and telling stories. I really look forward to probably hooking up this spring, maybe chasing some turkeys.
Likewise, man. Yeah, there would be nothing would make me happier than to end up maybe in Minnesota this spring and get to, hoot owl and make a turkey gobble for you.
He's making reference to one of the all-time classics. You and Jordan Blissett standing in my front yard doing the Mississippi owl hoot. We had owls across in the valley in front of our place, and the owls that live here never heard owls like they were hearing in the front yard that night. That was, you two and Joel Nelson, who was on a previous episode. We were kind of sitting around on the front porch telling stories, and those owls started going, man. And then you and Jordan climbed down there, and I had never heard anything like it. I'll make sure and warn those birds before you guys are coming up here again, because they never heard anything like it before.
Great.
Super. Well, hey, again, appreciate you coming on, and look forward to our next time where we can spend some time together in person.
Yeah, man. Likewise. Thank you for having me on.
All right. Appreciate it, buddy.